In the vast white and pure expanse of the Arctic, one might think that silence reigns supreme. However, that is not entirely the case. The region hosts military bases from several countries, and tensions are rising due to the economic and geopolitical potential of the area. But which countries are present? Who owns the Arctic? And why has this part of the world become so interesting to so many nations in recent years? That's what we're going to explore in this video. The North Pole region, which is affected by climate change, covers an area of about 21 million square kilometers. Composed of ice, land, and sea, it is neither a state nor a continent. In fact, it is defined as a zone that encompasses the North Pole with the Arctic Ocean, as well as the islands of 8 states. However, only 5 of them, the United States with Alaska, Russia, Canada, Norway, and Denmark with Greenland, have coastlines in the Arctic and therefore border part of the ocean. However, the Arctic itself belongs to no one. Historically, the Köppen line represents its fictional boundary. It corresponds to the place where trees do not grow. It also provides an important climate data point, where the maximum temperature is 10 degrees Celsius in July, the warmest month of the year. So above this maximum temperature, you are outside of the Arctic, and below it, you are within it. Besides the absence of trees, the development of life is slowed because temperatures can drop to below 50 degrees Celsius. Additionally, there is very little light for much of the year. It's important to note that there is an Arctic Council. This intergovernmental body is tasked with setting the broad directions for the region. Created in 1996 and evolving through biennial meetings, it aims to promote the sustainable development of the Arctic in social, economic, and environmental matters. It addresses sustainable development and the preservation of the ice pack, but not peace or security in the region. The Council includes the governments of states with part of their territory in the Arctic space, as well as several associations of indigenous peoples living in the Arctic. In total, there are about 500,000 people, including the Inuit and Sami. There are also several NGOs and observer countries, including France, Germany, and China. The Council's presidency rotates every 2 years. Since May 2021, Russia has held the seat, but due to the war in Ukraine, the Arctic Council has been halted. Thus, the impact of the war in Ukraine has been felt even here. In addition to the Council, research in the region has suffered significant setbacks following Moscow's exclusion from several research programs, complicating the observation of the effects of climate change in the Arctic. Now that you understand what the Arctic really is, you might be wondering why this region is so coveted. Well, because it is rich in raw materials like oil and gas. Thus, in 2014, Russia, a key player with nearly half of the polar territory and 24,000 kilometers of coastline, launched a massive remilitarization plan there. Then, in 2021, the United States launched a reconquest plan. Their goal is to defend their position in an area that holds 13% of the world's oil reserves and 30% of the world's undiscovered natural gas. But it's also because from an industrial and logistical standpoint, it has the advantage of being at the heart of the Northern Hemisphere between North America, Europe, and Northeast Asia. For example, it allows easier travel from Canada to Europe. But why have the states waited so long? After decades of relative disinterest, why is the Arctic only now under so much scrutiny? Because of climate change. Indeed, the accelerated melting of ice due to global warming allows access to mineral resources that were previously inaccessible, but it also opens up new maritime routes. It's important to note that in the Arctic, climate change is occurring at least twice as fast as anywhere else on the planet. Thus, in recent years, large quantities of uranium, gold, and copper have been discovered in Greenland, which are essential for new technologies. China is watching this region closely as it seeks new resources to solidify its position as a leader in the electric battery sector. Some even wonder if a conflict involving Russia or China could extend to the Arctic. The region is under tension and is likely to become one of the most important geopolitical issues in the coming years. Let's take a closer look at each nation's goals in the region. In 2023, it was highlighted that the United States and its army face numerous technological and logistical challenges in the Arctic. The US Army may be the most powerful, equipped with cutting-edge technology and excellent logistics. But this still seems insufficient in this inhospitable region, swept by icy winds and snowstorms. However, the country had already boasted of mastering the most hostile terrains. But now the country understands that the tactics and techniques already proven in other terrains cannot quite be replicated in this area, where temperatures are freezing. This results in batteries draining, moisture seeping into rifles which can block the breach, rendering them unusable, and even plastic breaking more easily. Moreover, any medical operation in such a hostile environment must consider that a blood bag may freeze, and that hypothermia could kill the injured person in minutes. It's also important to remember that in addition to the cold, which can reach below 50 degrees, it's a mountainous region, which doesn't make things easier. But it's mainly the connectivity of satellites that poses a problem. Additionally, according to a member of the US Department of Defense's Arctic Subsecretariat, many American satellites tracking activity in the polar circle have blind spots, while disruptions due to climate change are rapidly altering the region's geography. The US Army is counting on support from SpaceX, the aerospace company led by Elon Musk, to help. To solve these problems, the United States has decided to train more and more intensely in this hostile part of the world. Thus, in March 2024, a large exercise conducted by US troops with other NATO members, including Norway, took place. With 400 commandos, the program included parachuting, snowmobile pilot training, and helicopter evacuations. It's important to note that every operation is made more complex by the climate, and any mistake can be fatal. On its side, Russia has several Soviet-era bases being modernized north of the Arctic Circle. It is also from here that a portion of its hydrocarbons, exported to Europe or Asia, originates. The region is therefore important for protecting one of the sources of its power, which provides essential revenues to balance its budget, a growing portion of which is dedicated to the war in Ukraine. Indeed, according to Reuters, the Russian military budget increased from 35.8 billion euros in 2021 to 108 billion in 2024. Now, it represents 29.4% of the overall budget, compared to 14.4% 3 years earlier. But what really worries the United States about Russia's presence in the Arctic is that the latter is using the region to strengthen its ties with Beijing. Joint exercises between the two countries are periodically organized. Moreover, during one of them, a Chinese and Russian squadron skirted American waters off of the Aleutians near Kodiak Island. Due to growing rivalries between Washington, Beijing, and Moscow, preparations for a potential conflict in the polar region are causing great concern. Other powers are also interested in the region, such as Canada, Japan, India, the United Arab Emirates, and Europe. Even if they don't have land there, they have other means of imposing their influence, notably through investments. In addition to its stunning beauty, the Arctic is of crucial strategic importance to many nations around the world. Whether for its vast natural resources or its strategic maritime routes, the Arctic remains a primary concern for the entire world. As geopolitical tensions intensify and economic interests multiply, two camps seem to be clashing: NATO and the United States on one side, and Russia and China on the other.